This is the Conservative American Message, hosted by the one and only Cam Lau. It is Monday, May 6th, 2024, and you are listening to the 71st episode of this podcast. Henry Ford said, "Coming together is a beginning. Keeping together is progress. Working together is success." If you support what we're doing here at the Conservative American Message, please show your support by making a purchase in our merch store. Go to campodcast.square.site or just click the link in the description of this episode. If you want to support the podcast for free, please give us a 5-star rating wherever you listen and follow or subscribe. To stay up to date on everything we're doing, follow us on social media at the Conservative American Message on Facebook and Instagram. After a fairly tumultuous primary season for Republicans, there seems to be this perception that the Republican Party is weakened, discouraged, and broken. The party seems to have been completely shattered by Donald Trump, whose extreme right-wing beliefs have alienated many Republicans. Meanwhile, the Democrats stand strong, supporting Joe Biden, and are all united to their cause. But there's a problem I see in that perception. And it's that it's all a manufactured lie by legacy media that wishes it were so. In reality, Donald Trump has united more people in this country than I would say any modern president. He's not a far-right extremist. He's actually one of the most liberal Republicans we've ever seen. It's his populist message that was incredibly popular among people with widely varying beliefs and affiliations. Those politicians that challenged him in the primary this year were mostly establishment cronies who nobody really supported in the first place. Of course, there's always the never Trump Republicans, but those are the exception, not the rule. They are such a minority that I imagine more Republicans support gay marriage than oppose Donald Trump. Obviously, he's a controversial figure, but he hasn't done anything worse than the rest of those dirty politicians. If we solely focus on the policies he enacted as we should, even Democrats should have loved him. But politics have become like a reality TV show for too many Americans. Donald Trump aside, the media is trying to push a broader narrative that Republicans are divided. On an issue-to-issue basis, though, I really have a hard time finding any division. The most potent social issues like homosexuality, abortion, or even marijuana are always going to be a point of contention in any political group, but I don't see this apparently inevitable split coming in the GOP. I do, however, see this being an issue for the Democrats. It's kind of like the age-old saying, you smelt it, you dealt it. It seems to me that they are taking the biggest threat to their party and trying to play it off as a threat to their opposition. When you compare the leader of each party, it's laughable to think that Democrats are united. While Donald Trump has aroused support from the working class all the way to the rich, Joe Biden is just pissed off about everybody. A majority of Democrats want a better option than Biden. And even that group is split in two. There's an extremely progressive wing with outlandish ideas that even the furthest left congressmen surely have to see as nuts. It's mostly made up of a bunch of young college-educated fools who haven't yet experienced even a dose of reality in their lives. The alternative wing of the Democratic Party is much more moderate and models more after JFK. The Democratic establishment is somewhat a part of this camp, but also I believe this is a majority of Democratic voters. Joe Biden has been forced to try and appease both wings of the party and toe this weird line, but the result is just pissing both of them off. One side believes he's too weak in his support of Israel, while the other thinks he's complicit in a genocide of the Palestinian people. The other group wants to reduce pollution and find economic alternatives to fossil fuel, while the others demand the utter destruction of the American economy and the halt of all industry in the name of nature. There are some who believe he should be funding programs to pay back some student loans for borrowers who study careers in fields like nursing and teachers, things that we need. The other just wants free college for their Associate of Arts in Gender Studies that took them 7 years to complete. It's impossible to keep both of these sides happy, but he can't afford to lose either in the election. Granted, none of these hardcore Democrats would vote for Trump as an alternative, but many of these progressives will abstain from voting in 2024. And it's going to hurt old Joe, there's no doubt about it. As for the moderates, many of them, I believe, are going to be voting for RFK Jr. The Democratic Party is truly the one with an identity crisis right now. The entire party doesn't want Biden back, yet the elite Washington establishment needs to keep him there so they can maintain their control. Not only does this division have implications for the 2024 election, though, I also foresee a split in the party coming in like the next 50 years at least. The party will die, and something more evil might take its place. Meanwhile, I believe Republicans will continue to unite in light of how terrible the world has become. Here's what it all comes down to. The Democratic Party is united at the top with all of the politicians working together on the same side, but the people, the real American voters, are divided. They cannot survive that way. Republicans might have some division amongst the politically elite in Congress or otherwise, but the people are rallied together against the insanity of the left. All of that being said, the Republicans might be looking for a new Speaker of the House soon. Mike Johnson just doesn't seem to be cutting it for the more outspoken conservatives like Matt Gaetz or Marjorie Taylor Greene. These individuals are the ones who kick-started the process of firing Kevin McCarthy for his weaknesses, and now it appears Mike Johnson cannot do any better. And look, they aren't wrong. When you look at Johnson's voting record, you have to question what he's really doing. This is what I mean when I say the people are united, but the politicians are not. I mean, the Republican platform opposes abortion. Almost all Republican voters are pro-life. Yet, Mike Johnson, who is supposed to be the leader of this party, has voted for bills that contain abortion funding. The same concept applies to foreign aid. It applies to the border, and the list goes on and on. His voting record just doesn't match up. And I know he's not the only one either. There are so many rhinos in Congress, it's truly disgusting. Trump has united the people by exposing the rhinos. It's not that Trump divided the party by alienating these Republicans in Congress. They were always rhinos. They were just hidden in plain sight. Trump called them out, and then they came after him. Hard. As for Mike Johnson, he really is in danger of losing his gavel. Marjorie Taylor Greene is pushing the House to vote him out, and likely has the votes to do it, or at least will with the help of Democrats. I think that some people feel as though this is just a waste of time for Congress to be fooling around all the time with firing ineffective speakers. But you have to realize the power that the speakership holds. They decide what bills are allowed to be voted on, and which ones just sit in the corner and die. They're third in line for the presidency. This is a serious position that cannot be taken lightly. The fact that Marjorie Taylor Greene cares enough to vote him out should be rewarded, not ridiculed. Like Trump, she isn't sowing seeds of division. She's pointing out what's already taking place. We need characters in Washington like her, like Trump, and like so many others who are seeking the truth. That is the only way to see effective change and not just a bunch of rhinos parading around and pretending like they're doing something. Anyway, that's all I have time for. Were you offended by this podcast? Good. Thanks for listening, guys. I really appreciate all of you. Have a great week and stay conservative.